it's Nick again from Lost Nation Homestead, and today we're going to do a few different things with our maple sap. So the first thing we're going to do this morning is make some coffee with our sap. So boiling sap sometimes turns into a 24/7 job, so you're stuck at the sugar house and kind of make do with what you got. So making coffee was just one of those things I think that happened by accident probably. Somebody was up in the middle of the night and wanted some coffee, and they didn't have any water. They had some sap, so they went ahead and boiled some coffee. I'm going to tell you, it's really, really good. It's got a lot of vitamins and minerals in it, things like zinc, vitamin A, vitamin C. Almost kind of like a chaga with the healing properties that it has. And it's really good. It's a very mild maple flavor. So I've got a water heater that I got to mount right on the side to this little Camp Chef stove. It's got a couple little brackets that mount right onto the back of this stainless steel water tank. Now it's food safe. I'm not sure how much it holds. I think maybe 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons. So what I'm doing is I'm preheating my sap in this boiler here, and then I'm going to finish it off. Well, evaporate it on the stove top here, and then I'm going to finish it off in the house. When you're boiling like this on the wood stove, you want to make sure you don't want to scorch your pan, so don't ever put your pan on there with nothing in it. And you want to keep a good inch or two in the bottom of your pan. Make sure you don't burn it.
Preheating your sap really helps a lot with the evaporation process. You don't want to slow down your boil by dumping on cold sap. I actually have a different evaporating pan, but this day that I was shooting this video, I didn't have a ton of sap to boil in my evaporating pan. You need at least 2 gallons to run it, so it wouldn't have worked out well. But this little pot did fine. You want to find something to boil in that has a large surface area, or as big a surface area as you can, so you get as much evaporation as quick as you can. Once I've gone as far as I can on the wood stove, remembering that I want to keep at least 1 inch in the bottom of my pan on the wood stove, I transfer my sap into a stock pot and bring it in the house and finish it on the kitchen stove. The candy thermometer that I have is just a cheap one. It's like a $3 thermometer, and it's next to useless, but it gives me an idea of where I am with the temperature. You want to go get your sap to 219 degrees Fahrenheit, and that candy thermometer is not accurate at all. I ended up having to go to like 225, and basically what I did to tell it was done is I watched for the bubbles. As the sap boils, and it gets closer to being syrup, the bubbles get smaller and smaller, and when it's done, the bubbles are tiny and they're white, and it's almost like a foam. This is when you know it's done. Once your sap is up to temp and becomes syrup, you want to filter it through something fine. I just used the coffee filter, because if you don't filter it, you'll end up with a cloudy syrup, and it actually gets, they call it maple sand. It gets like grit at the bottom. It won't hurt you, but it's not real aesthetically pleasing, and I don't really want grit on my pancakes. I got these jars at my local CDL. It's a Canadian maple supply company, but you can find this stuff at your local hardware stores. Wherever you find your maple buckets and lines and taps and stuff, you can find little bottles like this. I like these. They weren't very expensive, and they're reusable. They're glass, and you can just buy the little caps for a few cents for the next year. This syrup that I'm putting in these bottles is from my first run. The first run is always the lightest, or usually it's the lightest in color. It's a little bit thinner. They call it fancy syrup. The rest I just put in pint jars, and the syrup is hot enough. I have to fill it up to like a 1/2 inch headspace and put my mason jar lid on, and it'll actually seal itself, can itself, and it's shelf stable like that. You don't have to refrigerate it.
Alright, so I ended up with about 1.5 gallons of syrup so far. Boiled 3 different days. But it's been fun. It's been good. The weather has been good, and we're getting some more this week. We've gotten another run, and the weather looks good for next week too. So I've got my fancy grade. It's really pale colored, and it's a little bit thinner than this grade here. This is the amber grade. This is my favorite. It's a little bit darker, a little bit richer flavor. I think the maple marketers try to push this product. It's more expensive, but anybody that makes it homemade, I think they prefer this kind of traditional. It's thicker. It's a little bit more robust maple flavor. It's really, really good. This is my favorite. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you're doing well. If you wouldn't mind, please take a moment to subscribe and share our videos. We really appreciate it. See you next time.